Hi class, this is Dr. Karsten, and today we are going to be going over the grade 4 end of unit 1 review. So let's get started. Now this is a lot of questions and I'm going to be going into detail, so if you get things correct, you know that you guys can fast forward, you can also rewind, you can pause, but you definitely should go through this entire thing and check your work, anything that you need working on. This is a great resource for you, so I expect you to use it. All right, here we go. So some of the questions, just to let you know, are going to be a little cut off on the top. Hopefully most of them won't be, but that's just because I printed these directly off of our SLS Online or Hello Smart website, where I posted them for us to work on. So here we go. So the first question, this one we spent a lot of time going over in class. It says, how does the value of the 3 in 34,560 compare to the value of the 3 in 345,600? So the thing that this is reviewing is our understanding of the relationship of things in our place value table. So when we have a place value table, and I just made this one really super quickly, remember that every time we move from the right to the left, every time we move over one column, it is 10 times larger. And you can see that right here, where you see that 10 is 10 times larger than 1, and 100 is 10 times bigger than 10. For me to get from 10 to 100, I would have to multiply times 10. So let's take a look at that in this problem specifically. And we're going to look into these in both of these. We have the number 3, and here we can see that the 3 is in the 10,000ths place. So the value of that 3 would be 30,000. And remember that that's one way that we can look at this, is to write the digit that we're interested in and then make everything to the right zeros. Or we could say that we have 3 10,000s is another way of thinking about it. So now if I look over here, I have a 3, but now it's in the 100,000ths place. So the value of that 3 is 300,000. And you know what, I just want to kind of neaten up this 3, make it look more like a 3. So I'm just going to go over it to make it pop a little bit more. And here we have this 3. And I apologize, but my puppy, who's been sleeping for the last hour and a half, decided to wake up right now, or 2 hours actually, decided that now is when he's going to wake up and play. So if you hear a little noise, that's who it is. But he seems to have settled down at my feet. All right, so here we go. So if I wanted to compare the value of this 3, which is 30,000, and the value of this 3, which is 300,000, again, I know that these are over 1 in the place value table. So if I had my place value table, my 1s, my 10s, my 100s, my 1000s, my 10,000s, and my 100,000s, this 3 is right here, and this 3 is right here. 10,000s, 100,000s. And whenever I go over, if the digits of the number is the same in each of those columns, it's 10 times greater. Or if I go the other way, it's 10 times smaller. So that's one rule that we know. Another way to show that would be to say that 30,000 times what is going to give me 300,000. Well, I'm going from 4 zeros to 5 zeros. And remember, whenever we multiply by 10, we get to add on a 0. Or this is 10 times greater than that. So these are some different ways of showing it. And then what you would have to write is you could say that the 3 in this, that the 3 in this number is 10 times larger or greater or more than the 3 in that number. So I'm going to go ahead and write that. The value of the 3 in, I'm not staying on the lines perfectly because I kind of used up a lot of space here. So the value of the 3 in 300,000 is 10 times greater, or you could say more, than, this version of than has an A in it, the 3 in, and now I'm going to write that other number, 34,560. And that would be a great explanation. So that's question 1. I know question 1 is probably one of the trickier questions on this entire review. All right, let's go on to number 2. So here it says, a recent survey reported that 713,298 people visited the local science museum last year. How can 713,298 be written in word form? So you have a couple different things that you can do. One way that I highly recommend is that you take this number and you write it in word form yourself. Then you're going to definitely get it right. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to write 700, puppy's playing with his toy, 713,000 200 98. Oh, I'm running out of room. I'm going to squeeze it in here. Okay, so it barely fit. So now I can just go ahead and I can see which one matches. So 71,000, definitely not going to work. 713,298. That's a match. Now, I want to tell you another way that you could do this. You could read each one of these and then read this aloud and see which one matches. So you could say 71,328, 713,000, oh, not a match. 713,298, 713,298, that's a match. Let's look at this one. 713,298, 713,000. Oh, see, it's missing that word thousand in here. So you could go ahead and read each of these and then read that aloud to yourself. That's fine, especially if you're working from home. But the best way would be for you to take that number and put it in word form yourself, and then see which one matches. So if I were doing this on a test, that's the way I would do it. Let's take a look at the next one. So here it says decide if greater than or less than completes a true comparison for each pair of numbers. So really quick, I want to remind you that the alligator eats the bigger number, right? So the alligator eats the bigger number. So remember, here is my sign right here. So whichever way it opens is going to be the larger number. So for example, if I had a 3, I would have to put a larger number here because he wants to eat the bigger number. He's hungry. So I could do something like that, 3 and 8. So the alligator will always eat the larger number. Okay, so let's take a look at these and let's remember how we compare greater numbers. So let's take a look at these two numbers here first. So we have 2,634 compared to 2,643. The best way for you to do this, especially on a quiz, to make sure you get all of them correct, would be to stack those two numbers. And then remember, we always start when we're comparing, we start on the left. So if I look at these two numbers, look, those are the same. That doesn't help me. These are the same. That doesn't help me. But look, when I get here, 4 is bigger, which means that this number is the larger number. So the alligator wants to eat that number. And look, there's that 4, so the alligator wants to eat that number, which means that I need to find the symbol that matches. And look, this symbol matches. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in B. I'm going to do the same exact thing for the next one. So I'm going to stack my two numbers. So I have 62,800 and I have 62,799. And if I want to be careful, I'm going to go step by step. So that doesn't help me, that doesn't help me, and here we go. 8 is bigger, so that's the larger number. So the alligator is going to eat that number. And I'm going to go ahead and fill in C for this one. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the next one. So for this one, I have 7,314 versus 7,414. And a lot of you probably see it right away. But let's go ahead and be systematic. 7s, they match. And here we go. I have a 4 which is greater than 3, right? 4 is bigger than 3. So that's the larger number. So I'm going to make my symbol match, and I'm going to fill it in. All right, last one of these. So 14,000. Now here you have to be really careful because we have a different number of digits. And if I don't line these up carefully, I'm going to make a silly mistake. So you have to make sure that you line up your ones under your ones, your tens under your tens, and so on and so forth. So I know that this is 1,000, and here's my other 1,000. So I'm going to make sure that I line these up really carefully. And now I can tell right from the beginning, look, there's nothing here. There's nothing in the thousands place, which means this number is the larger number. This one wins. So I'm going to go ahead and show that. My alligator's going to eat that one. And I'm going to pick the symbol that matches what I drew. And there you have it. All right, let's keep going. That was number 3. Let's move on to number 4. Okay, so number 4, it says, what is the sum of 7,447 and 1,027? So the first thing you have to think about is, what does this word mean? How do I find the sum of something? When I want to find the sum, I'm going to add. It's addition. So let's go ahead and stack these and add these. So we want to stack them very carefully. So I have 7,447 plus 1,027. Now remember, we like to be really careful. And let me see. I want to grab a lighter colored marker. Let me see what I have in my bag. Sorry, gang. I'll be with you 1 second. I probably could have paused. And here we go. All right, so I'm going to try and line these up because I like to be careful. So 7 plus 7 is 14, but remember, I can't write 14 down here. We have to regroup. So I'm going to move that 1 over because that represents, when I have the number 14, this represents 110. It has to go into the tens column. So 14, I regrouped. 1 plus 4 is 5, plus 2 is 7. 4 plus 0 is 4, and 7 plus 1 is 8. So I end up with 8,474 as my answer. But there's another question. Always check to make sure that you answered all the questions. It says estimate to check that your answer is reasonable. So what I have to do is I need to estimate both those numbers to the same place value. So let's start with the 7,447. If I want to estimate that, and here I can go and write both our numbers in. We have 1,027. And we already know our answer, 8,400. I know I'm running out of room. Let me slide it over a little. 74. So let's go ahead and let's estimate this to the nearest thousand. So I'm going to circle the number, the place value that I'm rounding to. There's no numbers to the left, so I don't have to worry about that right now, but everything to the right of that circled number is going to become a 0. And then that number does not know what to do. Remember, it needs to go next door to find out what to do. It needs to ask its neighbor, 4 over there. And we have that rule, 4 or less, let it rest. 4 or less, 4 is part of that group. So 4 is going to tell 7, you have to rest. What it's really telling it is that, hey, we're closer to 7,000 than we are to 8,000 because we're rounding to the nearest thousand. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, and so on and so forth. We get to 7,000 and 8,000. This is going to be closer to 7,000 than 8,000. 4 knows this. 7 doesn't know. 4 knows. So it tells 7, you rest. Now we're going to go over here and we're going to take a look at our 1. So we're going to round to the nearest thousand. Again, you have to round to the same place value when you do this. And he's going to look next door again, but first, I don't want to lose any number, so I'm going to go ahead and put all my zeros in to the right of the circled number. 1 looks next door, and 0 says, hey, I'm also part of 4 or less, let it rest, so you have to rest. And 1 rests. Now, 7,000 plus 1,000 is 8,000. So is my answer reasonable? I think my answer is reasonable. I'm going to say my answer is, and here if you want to know how to spell it, reasonable. And again, if you're not great at adding horizontally, you could always have stacked these and added them. It's a great way to do it. That would have been fine. All right. I like to, when I'm estimating, I like to draw them or write them horizontally instead of vertically. That's just a personal preference. It makes it easier for me to see it when I'm rounding, but you can do it whichever way you would like to do it. All right, let's go to the next problem because we have a bunch to go. Number 5. It says, look at the place value chart below. How can you write the numbers shown in the place value chart? Choose all the correct answers. So that's telling us that we have a bunch of correct answers, and we have to figure out which ones work for this problem. So let's go ahead and let's take a look. So first things first, here we have word format. So remember my rule, I like to write it myself. So I'm going to go ahead and do that really quickly. So it says I have 42,304. I'm going to put my comma in. So we write that. 42,304. Oh, I went a little off screen, sorry. There we go. So does this one match? 42,304? It sure does. So I know that's a correct answer. So here it's asking us to do it in expanded form. So I'm going to just write my number first because I want to remind you guys of the little cheat that we have for when we get stuck. So hopefully, though, you know that this is 4 10,000s. So I could write 40,000. This is 2,000s, so 2,000. This is 300, so 300. 0 10s and 4 1s. But if you don't realize that, what you can do is you can figure out the value of each of these digits by writing the digit, and then everything to the right becomes a 0. And that's our little check to see if we did it correctly. So I'm going to write this 2 and make every number to the right of it a 0. I'm going to write my 3 and make every number to the right a 0. Or every digit, I should be saying. My 0 I don't have to write. My 4, though, I should write. And there you have it. So I know it would be 40,000 plus 2,000 plus 300 plus, this is wrong. They definitely got that wrong. What about down here? I see they did it again. Let's look at that. 40,000 plus 2,000 plus 300 plus 4. This one works. I bet a bunch of people pick that one, though, because they just look at it and it looks right, but it's not. You definitely have to do the work to make sure you get these correct. All right, so let's look at this. We have 420,000? No, we definitely know that's wrong. We did it already. But what about this? Is this right? Well, yeah, we pulled that right out of there. We already wrote that right here. So this one is definitely right. So A, D, and E. I don't know if you guys can hear the owls outside, but there's owls outside my window hooting. All right, let's take a look at number 5. Okay, so here they're really kind, actually. So it asks us, what is the difference? And we all know that difference means we subtract. What's really nice is that they went ahead and they did the subtraction symbol for us. So that was really kind of them. But regardless, we're still going to do it on our own. So let's go ahead and let's write this number. So we have to be really careful that we line up our place values. You can see we only have 5 digits here, and here we have 6 digits. So we have to be really careful and make sure that when we're writing it, we line up our place values. So here we go. I'm going to write this one first. 235,207. And make sure you leave yourself lots of space up above when you're doing this. And then I have 67,000. Now you see how I'm lining up my 10,000 under my 10,000 place? 34. And my ones are under my ones, my commas are under my commas. And then let me go ahead and line everything up. And let's do our subtraction. So 7 minus 4 is 3. 0 minus 3 I can't do, so 0 has to go next door. 2 will regroup. and he will share. So 0 becomes 10. Remember, when 2 regroups, it sends 1 over, but whenever we go over, if we go to the right, it's going to become 10. All right, so now we have 10 minus 3 is 7. 1 minus 0 is 1. 5 minus 7 I can't do, so 5 says, hey, 3, can you help me out? And 3 says, sure, I will regroup and become 2. I'll send 1 over, but that becomes a 10. We already have 5, so 5 becomes 15. 15 minus 7 is going to give us 8. 2 minus 6 doesn't work. So 2 says, can you help me out? And this 2 says, sure, I can regroup. And this 2 becomes 12, and 12 minus 6 is 6. Don't forget this number. A lot of you do that. 1 minus nothing is 1. Let me put in my comma. And there is my answer, 168,173. So let's review how to use our grid. I'm going to line these, I'm going to write these numbers, line them up in here. So I have 168,173. And then I'm going to bubble them carefully. I'm going to go column by column. So in this column I have a 1 written, so I bubble in the 1. In this column I have a 6, so I bubble in the 6. In this one I have an 8, so I'm going to go down to the 8. Here I have a 1, so I go to the 1. I have a 7, so I go to the 7. I have a 3, so I go to the 3. And there you have it. All right, let's go on to the next question. So that was number 6. Here is number 7. Okay, so I don't know if I'm going to say this, I'm going to pronounce this correctly, but I'm going to do my best. Kanchenjunga is a mountain with a height of 28,169 feet. Lhotse is a mountain with a height of 29,940 feet. Use greater than, less than, or equal to write a comparison of the heights of Kanchenjunga and Lhotse. Which mountain is higher? Show your work. So I have to do 2 things here, right? So this is one of those where maybe I want to put an asterisk. I have to write a comparison, and then I have to say which mountain is higher. I have to say the name of it. So let's start with the comparison. Remember, when we compare 2 numbers, we want to stack them on top of each other. So I'm going to take the first one right there, and I'm going to write it. 28,169, and I'm comparing that to 27,940. And you know what? I also want to keep track. So I have K, and then I have an L for the 2 mountains, because I think that's useful. And now let's take a peek and see what happens. So my 2's are the same, so that doesn't help me. Wait. Oh, here we go. When I compare 8 and 7, 8 is bigger than 7, right? 8 is larger than 7, which means that this one is larger. This one's much bigger. So let's actually, I guess it's not really that much bigger. So now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to write my comparison. So I'm going to write this one, 28,169. The alligator's going to eat the bigger number. That one's bigger. And then I'm going to write the other number, 27,940. Now, though, I have to say which mountain is higher. So I'm going to write very carefully. I'm going to write that Kanchenjunga is higher. Now, so far, they haven't asked me how much higher. Okay, and I showed my work. We're all good. So let's go ahead. I know there's a part B to this one. Let's go see what part B says. So we copied this over again so we would have it, so we don't have to hold on to this page. So it says Kanchenjunga, oh, it's the same information. To the nearest 1,000 feet, how tall is each mountain? Show your work. Oh, so for this one, we now have to round. Remember, whenever you see something like to the nearest, it means that they want you to round or estimate. So to the nearest 1,000 feet. So let's go ahead and let's do that. So let's start with Kanchenjunga. So I'm going to write the height of Kanchenjunga. So that was 28,169. And when I want to round that, I want to round it to the nearest 1,000 feet. So I'm going to circle the digit that's in the 1,000 place value. So ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. Everything to the left stays the same, so I'm going to write that 2, and everything to the right is going to become a 0. Now 8 needs to figure out what to do, but he doesn't know. He doesn't know, is he closer to 28,000 or 29,000? He needs to go next door and ask his friend. And 1 says, 8, I am part of 4 or less. You have to rest. So 8 stays the same. And that's because 4 or less means that you're closer to the lower thousands place. 5 or more, you'd be closer to 29,000. So I'm going to go ahead and write that number right down here. Oh, you can't see that. 28,000. So now let's do Lhotse, or I think it's Lhotse, I don't know. So I probably should have looked that up before doing this. So I'm going to write the height of Lhotse, 27,940 feet. And now again, we are rounding to the nearest thousand, so I'm going to circle the digit in the thousands place. Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. Everything to the left I'm going to write down and keep the same, and everything to the right becomes a 0. So everything to the left of the circled number, everything to the right of the circled number, or digit. And now 7's going to look next door to figure out what to do. 7 doesn't know, am I closer to 27,000 or 28,000? It looks next door, and 9 says, 7, I am part of 5 or more. You have to raise your score. So 7 becomes 8. It's closer to 28,000. In fact, it's very close. All right, so let me write that down here. And now we have 28,000. All right, let's keep going. That was number 7. Here comes number 8. Oh my goodness, you can hardly see this number. So I'm going to write that number for us right there because I happen to know what it is. I know it from right there. So this number is 507,428. So it says write 2 different ways to expand and show 507,428. Write your answers in the blanks. So write 2 different ways to expand and show. And we have to follow the rules that they're telling us here. So there's 2 different ways that we have learned to do this. One way we call the scoop, and the other one we call the smush. And those are our nicknames for those. So let me first show you the scoop, because you guys might really like the scoop. And we didn't focus on this one as much when we were learning this. We really focused on the smush more. So these are both kind of algorithms, ways of doing this that make sense. Some of you guys are really good at doing this without this. You really know this. But these are kind of the algorithms or the shortcuts that we can do these. So I'm going to take this number. I'm going to write it. 507,428. Now, if I want to take the beginning of this and turn it all into thousands, I can do the scoop method. What I do is I find the digit that's in this place value, which is the 7, and I'm going to scoop. So we're doing scoop first. I'm going to scoop everything to the left of it over. So this would become 507,000. Now I need to go to the 10s. So everything that's left I'm going to smush, or I'm going to scoop into the 10s. So here's my 10s. So this was my thousands, this is my 10s. So I have 42. And then we still have 8 ones. So that's one way I could do that. The other way is using a place value chart. So remember before I had a place value chart made up for us? So here we go. Here's our place value chart. Let's move all this up a bit to give us a little bit more room. So I also cut out our number. So we have, so let me just go through our place value chart. We have our 1s, our 10s, our hundreds, our thousands, our 10,000s, and our 100,000s. So we have 507,428. So there's our number. Now remember, the smush method was that we could smush things down. And what we're doing when we do that is we are actually going to be changing this 5 into, this 500,000s, we're going to change it into thousands. We're going to change this 10,000s also into thousands. And the easy way to do this is for us to do the smush thing. Remember, we could just smush our numbers over into that same place value. And then we ended up with 507,000. And we can do the same thing with our 42, with a 42 to turn them into tens. I can take these 400s and turn them into tens. Well, when I take 400s, that's the same thing as 40 tens, because every 100 is 10 tens. So if I have 4 of them, it would be 40 of them, and I smush it down, but I already had 2 waiting for me. So that's the other way. Now you can see I have 507,000, 42 tens, and 8 ones. So now I'm going to unsmush them. I'm going to expand them back where they belong, because we already wrote that. And let's take a look at the next one. So down here, again, I have 507,428. I need to smush all this down to the hundreds. So let's do the smush technique first. If I do that, I need to smush all the numbers to the left. I'm going to smush them all on down into the hundreds. And I end up with 5,074 hundreds, because those 500,000s, they became 5,000 hundreds. And these 7,000s became 70 hundreds. So that's what happens. We are converting them into these other things. We're decomposing them. So here we go. Now I have they want us to turn these 2 tens into ones. They want us to smush them down. And I end up, if I take 2 tens, think of 2 $10 bills, they're also the same thing as $21 bills. Or if I had 2 boxes of, gummy bears, and each box had 10 gummy bears, if I opened those boxes and I emptied them out, I'd have 20 gummy bears, but I already have 8 waiting there for me. So that's the smush technique, right? Now let's scoop them also. I can go ahead and write that. So we have 5,074, and over here we'd have 28. So again, I can also say, well, if I want to go to the hundreds, I want to go to the hundreds place, I can scoop all this and say I have 5,074 hundreds, and then I need to go to the ones, so I'm going to scoop to the ones. And you could actually take these and, smush them all on down. It's up to you which way you want to do it. I can also sketch it quickly. There is a really quick way of sketching this. I'll just put those numbers there. And you could really quickly sketch your place value. Actually, I think I did this on another paper. Let me go see. That would be quicker for me just to show you how I wrote it before. It should be close because we haven't gone that far. Here you guys go. This was me doing it just really quickly with my own drawing. And you can see I just kind of circled what I was moving and I just smushed it on over. I did the same thing over here. So that would be like a quick way of showing your work, but you don't actually have to show your work on this one. So you're good. All right. So let's go to the next one. So that was, I think, question number 8. So let's go to question number 9. Maybe. Oh, no. I don't think that was 8. I don't know. Can't read the numbers on these. Sorry, gang. All right, here we go. It says, decide if each number has been rounded to the nearest 1,000, nearest 10,000, or nearest 100,000. I know it doesn't look like that to you, but I swear that's what it says. So we have a shortcut for doing this, but remember we can always do a check if we want to make sure, since it is a quiz or a test. So what they're saying to us is that they're taking this number and they have rounded it, and we have to figure out what is the place value that they rounded it to, the nearest 1,000, 10,000, or 100,000. So if I look at this, a really easy way to do this is to just look at the number that it was rounded to and see what place value did they round it to. Where is your first non-zero if you start from the right? So my ones have a 0, my tens have a 0, my hundreds have a 0, my thousands have a 1 in it. So I'm pretty sure I rounded to the nearest 1,000. You could, of course, always go ahead and round that number to the nearest 1,000 and see what you get. So I would circle my 1,000. I could look next door, keep everything to the left, make everything to the right a 0. 0 looks next door. 8 says, hey, 0, I'm part of 5 or more, raise the score, so you have to raise your score. And it checked. So that would be a nice, easy check for you to do. Let me take a look at the next one. So here, let's see where we have our first non-zero digit. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, here. And that's the 100,000s place. Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000, 100,000s. So I know that this is my first non-zero digit. So I know that we have reached, sorry, I just got distracted by something. I apologize. I was looking at the time. This video is so long. Oh my goodness, but we're like halfway through. So this is the 100,000s place. So I'm going to go ahead and circle the 100,000s. And again, I could check it by rounding that. And I can see that sure enough, well, first let me fill in all my zeros to the right, because that's our rule. So 5 or more raise the score, so that 6 becomes a 7. And it sure did work. Let's take a look here. My 1s have a 0, my 10s have a 0, my 100s have a 0, my 1000s have a 0, but my 10,000s have a 4. So my guess is the nearest 10,000. I can check that really quickly, and sure enough, 4 or less, let it rest. And there we have it. So that one checked out. And now this is the last one. So let's take a look at this one. So my 1s have a 0, my 10s have a 0, my 100s have a 0, my 1000s have a 0, but my 10,000s again have a digit that's greater than 0. It's a 7. So my guess is that my 10,000s is the place that I rounded to. And I can go ahead and I can check that by doing it. And if I do that, I get the same answer. So we were right on all of them. So you don't have to do that check. It's just, if you want to be really sure. Otherwise, you can just look to where your nearest value is that is greater than 0. What's the first place value? But you always have to start on the right and move left when you do this. All right, so let's take a look at the next question. Jan, oh, look, we're up to number 10. We're doing great. Jan has 14,407 gummy bears. What is this number written in expanded form? Personally, I am first going to write this in standard form before I do anything else. So I have 14,407. Oh, you got to be careful there. 14,407. Now let me say this. The incorrect answer that I often see is this. And what I always recommend to you is that you read your answer and then compare it to what's written. If I saw this, I'd say 14,470, 14,407, uh-oh, and I'd realize that was wrong and that this is the correct answer, 14,407. Okay, so now we have to write it in expanded form. Now, if you're really good, you can go check, or remember, you could also add these together and see which one gives you the correct answer. So, for example, if I did this one, I could add all these numbers together and see what I get. And I would get 7, 0, 8, 0. Uh-oh, it doesn't match. I know that's wrong. But again, I could also just write this in expanded form. And that nice, cool little shortcut that we learned was that I can write each digit and make everything to the right a 0. So I'd have a 1, and everything else is a 0. Then I'm going to use my 4. And everything else is a 0. I'm going to bring down that 4. Everything to the right is a 0. 0 doesn't matter, right? Well, it's important, but for this it doesn't. I don't have to bring it down. And then I bring down my 7. And I can see I'd have 10,000 plus 4,000 plus 400 plus, uh-oh, that's that wrong answer. That messes it up. Let's try this one. 10,000 plus 4,000 plus 400 plus 7. That one works, and that's the one I'm going to pick. And this one clearly is just wrong. I hope no one picks that one. All right, let's move on to number 11. So this says round 58,603 to each place value given. And I just want to make sure that I have that number right. Oh, I don't think this one's going to... Yep, that's right. I was able to check it on another piece of paper. All right. So we have to round it to each place value given. So let's start here with this one. So I'm going to write 58,603. And if I want to round that to the nearest 10,000, I'm going to circle the digit that's in the 10,000s place, which is that 5. And everything to the left, which there's nothing, would stay the same. Everything to the right of my circled digit would become a 0. And then he has to look next door to figure out what to do. 5 does not know. Am I closer to 50,000 or 60,000? He has no idea. His neighbor knows. And 8 says, I am part of 5 or more. Raise the score. So 5 becomes 6. I'm going to go ahead and write that. All right, next one. So here we have to take the same number, 58,603, and now we are going to round that one to the nearest thousand place. So I'm going to circle that thousand. All the numbers, all the digits to the left of the circled number stay the same, and all the digits to the right become a 0. 8 looks next door, and 6 says, I am part of 5 or more. Raise the score. You have to raise your score. So that becomes a 9. And I get 59,000. Let's take a look at the next one. So I'm going to do the same thing, write my starting number. And for this one, it says round it to the nearest 100. So I'm going to circle that digit that's in the hundreds. Everything to the left of the circled number stays the same. Everything to the right becomes a 0. 6 looks next door, and 0 says, I'm part of 4 or less, let it rest. So 6 is going to rest. So I end up with 58,600. Remember, if you're letting it rest, it just stays the same. All right, next one. So now we are doing the same starting number, 58,603. Now we are going to round it to the nearest 10. So up here it was 10,000, here it's 10. So I'm going to circle the 10. Everything to the left of that circled number stays the same. Everything to the right becomes a 0, and 0 looks next door at 3, and 3 says, 0, I am part of 4 or less, let it rest. So you have to rest. Look, we got the same number. So we end up with 58,600. All right. So let's keep going, my friends. I know we are up to 42 minutes, but we are doing such a great job. We only have a handful of problems left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 pages left, but it's only 4 problems, I think. So it says, what number has 84 ones, 30 10,000s, and 200 tens? Show your work. So there are definitely a couple of different ways that we can do this one. So I'm going to start us off by using our place value chart, because I think that that's a method that might be the easiest way. And again, I have it all ready to go here. And I'm going to put those in their places. So first they say 84 ones. So I'm going to go ahead and put that there. So I have 84 ones. But hang on. Well, let's go ahead and put all the numbers. So now I'm going to put my 30 10,000. So here's my 10,000s. I'm going to put those right there. And then I have 200 tens. So I'm going to put my 200 tens right here. And I'm looking at this, I'm like, wait, this is against the rules. I am not allowed to do this. You cannot have 2 digits in one place value. So if I wanted to clean this up, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to expand these. So this is 84. Remember, this 8 really represents 8 tens, right? It's 80, so that's 8 tens. So I'm going to unsmush him. I'm going to expand him over where he belongs. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm not supposed to have 30 10,000s. I need to move this one over. It needs to expand over. There we go. That's looking so much better. And again, I cannot have all of this over here. I need to move these 2 over. Watch. I'm going to unsmush them. And I move them over. But wait, we're not done. He needs to move over one more. He can't sit there. That's still not following the rules. Now I'm good. And now I can combine all these. So we can bring them all together. Now look, up here I have 8 tens and 0 tens, so I don't need that 0 anymore. And I have my 4. And there's my answer, 302,084. So remember, all we did was we unsmushed things. We weren't allowed to have him over there, so we moved him over one place value. He moved over. So the way that I could show that on here is that I could draw a place value table really quickly. And I'm also going to show you another way to do it, but I think this is probably the easiest way for you. So I could draw myself a place value table. I have my ones, my tens, my hundreds, my thousands, my 10,000s. I know this is crooked, I'll straighten it out. And my 100,000s. And I can start by putting those values in. So for example, when I have my 84 ones, but then what I can do is I can show that that needs to move over, right? So I'd have 8, and my 4 could remain there. And then I can do the same sort of thing with the 30 10,000s. So I can put my 30 10,000s here, but then I can show that that needs to move over there, right? Let's do that like this too. You move down there, but that's okay. And then I have my 210s. So let's go ahead and we can write our 210s. But then what I can show is I can show that these need to move over. They need to regroup and go over here. And then I can show that this one's gone over there. So now we have 3, 0, 2, 0, 8, 4. I'm just holding on to all the things that I have left. And there you have it, 302,084. Another way that I can do this is that I can take my numbers and I can turn them into what they are. Think about it like this. My 210s. Let me show you this. So up here, it says that I have 210s. If I have 210s, think about it like this. 3 10s is equal to 30. We're adding on that 0 to make it 10s. Oh, I have to cough, excuse me. Sorry guys, I know I swallow really loud when I'm drinking. All right, so 3 10s would be 30. I added on a 0 to make 3 10s. Similarly, if I have 210s, I can add on a 0. Making it to 10s adds on a 0. So that's another way of thinking about it. So 210s is the same thing as 2,000. And some of you know this. You guys are really good with this. Similarly, when I have my 30 10,000s, if you look at what 10,000 has, 10,000 has 4 zeros. If I have 4 10,000s, I have 40,000, or a 4 with those 4 zeros. So if I have 30 10,000s, I have to add on those 4 zeros to that 30. And it goes right there. So it becomes 300,000. So what I could do then is I could add my 2,000, my 300,000, and my 84 ones. So I could put those all together. So I have my 2,000, my 300,000, and my 84 ones. And this is a nice, easy addition. And I get the same answer. So no matter which way you decide to do it, if you decide to do the unsmushing, right, the regrouping, if you want to do it this way, whichever way you want to do it, you pick, it's your choice. Next question, number 13, we're getting so close to being done. It says, which equation can best help you estimate the difference? So again, we don't actually need to solve this. We just need to estimate both these numbers to figure out which one would be best. Now, I need everyone to be so careful and pay attention to that word best. Which one of these would be the absolute best way to do this? So you can't just pick a correct way. You have to pick the best correct way. What I see is that they are rounding things to either the 10,000 or the 1,000. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to practice, I'm going to do this, I'm going to take these two numbers, I'm going to round it once to the thousands place and once to the 10,000s place and see which one is better. So let's go ahead and write these two numbers. Remember how when I'm estimating a sum or a difference like this, I like to go ahead and do it horizontally. It helps me with my estimating. You can do it vertically, you can do it however you would like to. So if I'm estimating this, let's do first to the nearest 1,000. So here's 1,000. This is my thousands place. 1, 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000. Everything to the left stays the same. Everything to the right becomes a 0. I look next door, and 6 says, hey, 2, I'm part of 5 or more. You have to raise your score. So that becomes 53,000. Now I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to circle that 9 because it's in the thousands place. Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. Look next door, but first I'm going to keep my 2, make everything to the right is 0. 9 looks next door, and 5 says, hey, I'm part of 5 or more, raise the score. So guess what, 9? You have to become a 10. Wait a second. I can't put 2 digits over there. That has to move over. I have to move that over. If this were a place value chart, what you'd see is that that 1 is going to go over here, but I already have 2 over there. So what happens? Well, it becomes a 3. So this is going to be 30,000. That's so interesting because it looks like I rounded to the nearest 10,000 on that one, but I didn't. I rounded to the nearest 1,000. So I would have 53,000 minus 30,000. Do we have any that match? Let's take a look. Ooh, we do. C matches. This one, 53,000 minus 30,000 is equal to 23,000. Let's really quickly make sure that that math is right. And it is. So I know that this is a good answer. I like that. That's a pretty good answer. So now what I see is when I'm looking at this, I can see this was not rounded correctly to the nearest 1,000. So I can see this is wrong. Plus, these are rounded to different place values. This one was rounded to the nearest 10,000, and this was incorrectly rounded to the nearest 1,000. This one's just way off. What I also can see is that here they rounded wrong. When they rounded this to the nearest 1,000, they got 52,000 instead of 53,000. This one is wrong. Ooh, I like this. We're able to eliminate not a lot of answers. Let's check this one out. Here they're rounding to the nearest 10,000. Let's try that. So if I start with 52,629 minus 29,530 and I round to the nearest 10,000, everything to the right is going to become a 0. And this guy looks next door and he says, what do I do? 2 says I'm part of 4 or less. You rest. So he stays the same. Over here, 2 looks next door. Everything to the right is a 0. 2 says 9. What should I do? 9 says, hey, I'm part of 5 or more. You have to raise your score. So look, they did that correctly. Oops, sorry. Look, 50,000 minus 30,000. And is their math right? Let's look. It's looking good, my friends. Oh my goodness, they're both right. But remember what I said? Which one would best help us to estimate? Which one is a better estimate? Which one's more accurate? And what I can tell you is that this number is more accurate than this number. This is going to be a more accurate number. When you round to the nearest 1,000, that is a more accurate estimate. And we could actually really quickly try that over here. Let's go ahead and see if it's true, if it really did work. So if I go ahead and I round over here, or I subtract, I find the difference. I get a 9. This becomes a 5. This is a 12. That's going to be a 9. 5 minus 5 is 0. This becomes a 4. This becomes a 12. I get a 3. I get a 2. And look at that. I got 23,099. And look, that's a lot closer to this number than to that number. So even when I go ahead and I do it, the math, you can see that 23,000 is closer to 23,099 than is 20,000. You could even put it on a nice number line if you wanted to. So we would have 20,000. We'd have 30,000 way over there. And then we'd have 21,000. Oh, this is not going to be accurate. 22,000, 23,000, 24,000. Oh my goodness, I'd have to go way over and it would be whatever. But here, let's take a look at our answers. So we'd have 20,000, we'd have 23,000, and 23,099 would be like right there. So clearly, these two are closer to each other than this one is. So let's go to the next one. And we are at almost an hour, my friends. I'm so sorry, but you can fast forward through the parts you don't want. So So it says, which equations are true? Choose all the correct answers. So this is pretty easy. We're just going to go ahead and we're going to see which ones work. Ooh, I hope I didn't knock that out. So let's go ahead and let's get this done quickly. So, okay, well, I want to show you how to do it, just in case. So here you have to be really careful and that you line things up correctly. We have different number of digits in each of these numbers. So here I have 23,405 minus 5,432. I need to pause this video for a second because my puppy's chewing something hard. He shouldn't have anything hard. I'll be right back. Okay, so I know you're all going to be really super curious about what it is that he had. He had a nut from outside, from like one of the local trees. I don't even know what kind of nut it was, but he was chewing on it. All right, so here we go. So pay attention, you're subtracting. This is the only one that involves subtraction. So I'm going to go ahead and line things up carefully. And here we go. So 5 minus 2 is 3. 0 is smaller than 3, so you can't subtract 3 from 0. 0 goes next door, and 4 becomes a 3. 0 becomes 10. 10 minus 3 is 7. 3 minus 4 doesn't work because 3 is smaller than 4, so goes next door. This 3 regroups and becomes 2 and sends 1 over, which really is 10. 13 minus 4 is 9. 2 minus 5 does not work, so this 2 regroups, becomes a 1, and this becomes a 12. 12 minus 5 does work, and that's 7, and 1 minus nothing is 1, and we got 17,973, which is very different. And I can tell you what they did wrong. They lined up their numbers incorrectly. They moved this all over. They lined up the 5,000 under the 2 10,000s, and that's how they did it, and I believe they added. But regardless, it is so wrong. Let's try the next one. So here we go. Let's do B. So B is going to be 4,354 plus 3,506. And when I go ahead and I add these, I get 4 plus 6 is 10. And here, I like my lines. 4 plus 6 is 10, but I can't write 10 in there. I have to regroup. 5 plus 1 is 6. 3 plus 5 is 8. And 4 plus 3 is 7. Did it work? It did. They got it right. Let's try the next one. So here we're adding again. So we have 40,765 plus 6. Now make sure you line it up carefully. Line up your ones, line up your commas, whatever you need to do to make sure you line them up correctly, but you have to line it up by place value. I'm going to go ahead and make my lines. All right, so 5 plus 3 is 8, 6 plus 8 is 14, 7 plus 1 is 8, plus 5 is 13, 1 plus 6 is 7, and 4 plus nothing is 4. So we got 47,348. Let's see if it's a match. 47,348. It is a match. Awesome. Next one. So now we're going to do D. And we have 4,368 plus 8,107. I want to keep myself all nice and lined up. 8 plus 7 is 15. I have to regroup. 1 plus 6 is 7. 3 plus 1 is 4. And 4 plus 8 is 12. Did they get it right? Oh, they did not. Look what this number, this is too small. We have 7 tens. They have 6 tens. And you know what I bet they did? I think they forgot to count that regrouped number in there. I think that's their error. So this one is wrong. All right, let's do that last one and let's see what we get. So let's go ahead and let's use purple. So 24,426 plus, and again, you have to line up carefully. Make sure your commas line up, make sure your ones, make sure everything lines up nicely. So I know this is 6,000, so thousands under thousands. 10. All right, I love my little lines. 6 plus 0 is 6. 2 plus 1 is 3. 4 plus 0 is 4. 4 plus 6 is 10. I can't write 10 here. I have to regroup. And 1 plus 2 is 3. And I get 30,436. And it's a match. My friends, I think, are we up to the last one or are there 2 more questions? Let's take a peek. Let's look. I think this is it. It's the last question. It has 2 parts, but it's the last question. So let's finish this up. So at an aquarium, there are 13,628 goldfish in the tanks. So, I think these numbers are probably pretty important. So we have 13,628 goldfish in the tanks. There also are 10,733 starfish and 8,971 seahorses. How many more goldfish than starfish are at the aquarium? Show your work. Okay, so I have to tell you something. So often, students will go ahead and they will use these 2 numbers, and that's wrong. You have to make sure you use the correct numbers for this problem. I need goldfish, so yes, I need that 13,628, but I need starfish, not seahorses. Make sure you use the starfish numbers. People just see these 2 near each other and they jump on them. Now, how many more? How many more? Remember, how many more? We're looking for what's different, what's more, what's different. Whenever we're looking for a difference, we subtract. How many more? We are going to subtract. So let's start by being super careful. I need my goldfish number. Here's my goldfish. I need that number, 13,628. And I need my starfish. Here are my starfish. So I have 10,733. I'm looking for the difference, so I put the larger number on top, the smaller number on the bottom. Oh, I did something really bad though. Would you like to know what I did? I did not leave myself enough room to neatly regroup above it. I'm actually going to go ahead and rewrite this over here on this side because I want to make sure that I have enough room to do a good job with you guys. So 13,628. Now I have enough room above it to do my regrouping. It's really important that you think about these things when you're setting stuff up. Now I have room, and we are good. Okay, so 8 minus 3 is 5. 2 minus 3 I can't do. 2 is a smaller number. I don't have enough to subtract 3. If I have 2 cookies, I can't give you 3. So 2 goes next door to 6, and 6 says, yep, I'll regroup and become 5, so you can become 12. 12 minus 3 is 9. 5 minus 7 I can't do because 5 is a smaller number. So 5 goes next door, and 3 says, I'll regroup, and I'll send 1 over to you. But that 1 becomes 10, so 5 is 15. 15 minus 7 gives me 8. 2 minus 0 is 2, and 1 minus 1 is 0. I don't need to write that 0 because it's a leading 0. And so that's my answer, 2,895. But 2,895 what? There are, and let's go ahead and write this, there are 2,895 more goldfish, because these are the goldfish, this is the goldfish, these are the starfish, more goldfish than, and this is that than with the A in it, than starfish. And that's fine. You can add at the aquarium if you want, but we're good like this. Okay, so let's go on to B and see what we get for part B. Funny. Sorry again, I just got distracted by something else too. Okay, so part B says Dr. Karsten and Ms. Christine round is like estimating, right? We're rounding, we're estimating the number of seahorses, and we were kind. We wrote it here because we know it's on the other page. 8,971. And look, if we want to check, we could see this. Seahorses, sure, there it is. 8,971 to different place values. Their rounded numbers are the same. How do they each round the number of seahorses? Ooh, this is very interesting. So supposedly Miss Christine and I rounded this number to different place values, but we got the same answer. So you have some choices. You can go ahead and round this to the nearest 1,000, 110 and see what you get. Or similarly, you could do each one of these and figure it out. Now here I can see I have hundreds and tens and thousands and tens and thousands and hundreds. See all these place values that things are being rounded to? Dr. Karsten rounds to the nearest 100 and Miss Christine rounds to the nearest 10. So I see all these, and again, it's rounding to the nearest 100, 10, and 1,000. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's round this number to each of those place values and see what we get. So I have 8,971. Let's start by rounding it to the nearest 1,000. So there's nothing to the left, but everything to the right is going to stay as 0. And the 1,000 is going to look next door, and 8 says, hey, 9 says 8. I'm part of 5 or more. You have to raise your score. So 8 is going to raise its score 1 and become 9. So this is to the nearest 1,000. All right, so now let's go ahead and take that number, 8,971, and let's round it to the nearest 100. And I really didn't need that S right there. It's bugging me. So the nearest 100. So everything to the left stays the same, and everything to the right becomes a 0. 9 looks next door, and 7 says, hey, I'm part of 5 or more. You have to raise your score. But we have that problem again. I can't write a 10 in there. It's not allowed. You're not allowed to do that. So I have to move this 1 over. It's just like when we have our place value and we unsquish or we expand, right? So now though, if I move that 1 over, I already have 8,000s. I'm moving 1 over. So this becomes 9,000. So let me just go ahead and rewrite that. So when I round it up, and the whole question is 8,900, what's the nearest 100? And when you're talking about these hundreds, we have like 800, 900, 10 hundreds are 1,000. So that's what's happening as we go up to the 1,000. Wow, well look at that, I already have a match. When I round to the thousands and the hundreds, I get 9,000. Wait, hang on, could it be? Is it possible? Could it possibly be that when we round to the nearest tens, we get the same thing? I don't think so, but I want to make sure. So I'm going to round to the nearest tens. So everything to the left stays the same. Everything to the right becomes a 0. 7 looks next door, and 1 says, 7, I'm part of 4 or less. You have to rest. Oh, well, that one doesn't match. So this one doesn't match. So what I do know, though, is that my thousands and my hundreds give me a match. So let's go and see which ones are thousands and hundreds. Well, this is hundreds and tens. That's not a match. 1,000 and tens, not a match. 1,000 and hundreds. That's a match. And 10 and hundreds, not a match. So let's look. If Dr. Karsten rounds to the nearest 1,000, I get 9,000. And Miss Christine rounds to the nearest 100, she also gets 9,000. We have a match. This is definitely the correct answer. And we are done, my friends. Oh my goodness, this is going to take me like 2 hours to upload. Anyway, this will be waiting for you in our Google Classroom for you to check your own work. I suggest that you get to it. It's going to be a really great studying tool. You can check your work. We are going to go over all of these in class also. And I will see you. Keep up the great work. I'm really proud of all of you.